We're here for a co-working space, which is Sendine. They're here to provide you with Wi-Fi. So if you guys want to open up your laptops, open up your iPhones, open up your tablets, whatever you have, look for one that says Spaces Guest. Does anybody not see Spaces Guest and is looking for internet? You don't. Well, you don't have your laptop, so it doesn't count. Appreciate it. Nice, nice. Look with your radar. We don't have visible waves here next and all that. So it's co-working. I'm sorry. So if you guys have found co-working spaces, Spaces Guest, you'll be able to go ahead and go to, click on it, and you'll see that it redirects you to a URL. That URL has a username and password. The username is co-working, as in this is a co-working space. And the password is co-work, as in the verb, co-work, 0601. I'll repeat it at the end of this. Let me just do, and Prav is excited to start. He has one of the best presentations, so I'll go quickly. Gravity usually sponsors us. They're not sponsoring us this day, but they will be sponsoring us next month. We have pizzas thanks to BocaJS. Apparently it was me that got sponsored. I guess it was our other doors. Choose a place, and what I'll do is over there, I'll turn on the volume. So again, it's Spaces Guest. Co-working, co-work 0601. That's who we win. At the very end, we have a lot of raffles. You have amazing raffles. I didn't see today's emails with JetBrains. We'll see what we can do as far as the raffle is concerned. These are the sponsors. Guys, thank you very much. You guys have done an honor to me, and now I own youtube.com/BocaJS. This was, thank you. And with 200 subscribers, I hope you guys will be in there. We try to put an email, a video at least once a week. Last one was getting the stock market and getting the top market cap by top companies by market cap. Who's the closest to $1 billion? You can even see how I created that on this week's videos.
Hey, it's our React VR.
You have the most followed video. You have the most amazing presentation, and it is truly amazing honor to have him back. But what I want you guys to do, Prav went up to me and he says, listen, I have a great presentation, and he's deciding to go, and I won't interrupt you much more, but you guys can help me with the next presentation if you want to present or you think you know what you'd like to learn. Let me know at these addresses over here. Just go to meetup.com and sign up in there. If you'd let Prav know, that's awesome. Enough about me. Now you can talk. Now go.
So first of all, this is definitely not about me. So this is a placeholder, and if you go to the Florida Game Developers thing, it has a real page with basically the screenshots of our games. It shouldn't be about just about one person. So basically, we have 4 presenters here, and we all contributed equally. So who are we, and why are we here? So we're the Florida Game Developers Association. We're the largest game developer meetup in South Florida. We also, as of 3 weeks ago, became the official Unity 3D user group in South Florida. So that means we're actually getting sponsorship and money directly from Unity. So Unity pays for our pizza, so to speak. So who here knows what Elon Musk's first job was? I mean, so remember, there's a format. So if you guys answer correctly, you get some. Today we got white peanut butter and M&Ms. Yeah. What was that? Yeah. So obviously we're at a gamer meetup, right? So what do you think the answer is going to be? That's great. Yeah. So his first job was he was a entry-level game programmer. He did wrote low-level code. Can we yeah. And he sold. We're actually gonna show his game right now in JavaScript HTML5. The game he wrote and sold at 12 years old for $500. And he used that. His first job also was as a low-level, entry-level game programmer. Yeah, so so we're the Florida Game Developer Association. So if you go to meetup.com/game hyphen developers and just go to our recent meetup, and we're going to be, these are two of the games we're going to make tonight. Star Wars Trivia by Juan. I'll be showing Angry Birds, and all in JavaScript, HTML5. Yeah.
What's going on there?
Yeah, so we meet the so this is Elon Musk's game he made when he was 12 years old, right? So you guys can actually, if you go to the Florida Game Developers Association or the comment later, all these links are active, and you can actually play for your mobile phone as well. If you don't have a laptop, you can play this. So basically, there's a Google engineer who ported Elon Musk's original code to JavaScript HTML5. And it's all open source now, so you can learn a lot. So so the first question is, do you need instructions? So just say no. So basically, I have the, it's very big right now, so you guys can see it. But it's basically a combination of asteroids and Space Invaders. So you guys can play that. So it used to be that. Yeah. So it used to be that like games are just for kids, and probably when you heard that, it was true. You know, back in 2012, like mobile gaming was the smallest portion of the gaming market. But by 2021, mobile gaming by itself is going to be a $100 billion industry out of a $170 billion industry by 2021. That means that gaming as a whole is going to be about 15 to 20 times bigger than movies and music combined. So, you know, all your friends are, like, I'm a filmmaker, so I can speak, you know, all your friends who are going to film school, they should actually be learning how to make video games. And so video games and game engines are like kind of like eating the world, right? But there's been a rebound of like how do you make a game? What are games engines used for? And JavaScript's making a big comeback, and thus we're here. So we'll get into that real quick. But let me introduce the first speaker, Juan. He's going to be going over. He's going to introduce himself, and then he's going to go over Star Wars Trivia, the first game. And in between, you guys can feel free to interrupt, ask questions. This is a workshop. This isn't a lecture. If you guys just sit there and stare at us, like Arthur will be really mad. And you won't notice it now, but during the music video, we'll take it out on you. So, good one. Oh yeah. Damien, can you turn his mic on? Or yeah. Yes. What's your call?
Praveen. So I want to introduce myself. My name is Juan Duque. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Gaming Frog. I want to talk to you a little bit about what Gaming Frog is. We're not game developers. We don't produce games, but we are involved with the whole gaming industry, specifically the esports industry. So in the last few years, esports has become a massive industry. It is expected to grow to almost $1 billion within this year. And I don't know if you guys follow any esports teams here. Do we have any esports fans around here? Awesome. What team do you follow, or what do you like to see? Awesome. So yeah, I've been a video gamer most of my life. I actually started playing FIFA on '98. It's the game that I'm really passionate about, and that's kind of like the whole idea behind Gaming Frog. So Gaming Frog, what we do is we allow video gamers to play against each other for money. So we don't produce the games itself that people are betting on, but we sit on top of those games and we kind of like allow people to play for something else. You know, right now you go into the game, you play online, and you don't get nothing from it. You know, you kill some time, but there's no real incentive to play that. And that's why in Gaming Frog we created a way for people to play your favorite video games with money.
Yeah,
The game.
so actually, his recent success, all my friends, the common thing is they bury the lead. He was one of the finalists for the Emerge America Startup Pitch Contest for his startup Gaming Frog, and all the esports too. Like every single professional team sports owner in South Florida also owns an esports team in South Florida as well. It's a huge thing, and FGDA, Florida Game Developer Association, we're heavily involved in that. We're hosting 10 panels at SuperCon coming up 4th of July. We also have a 5-day gamer cruise this summer with the esports celebrities.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight that I'm an actual graduate from FAU, and one of the first things we did as a company was to apply to an incubator program that is called FAU Tech Runway. So if anybody of you have a business idea or want to create your own business, I would recommend you to go and check FAU Tech Runway. They are a great resource for any entrepreneur out there. They helped us kind of like get from that idea stage into where we are right now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our current stage. Last year we raised $150,000. We have been to a lot of conferences. We've been to Collision Conference. We've been to Emerge Americas in Miami 2 years straight. And you know, it has been a ride. But what I want to talk about is kind of like the idea behind it, how we built it, and I want to show you one of the first things I did as a developer. I actually don't have engineering degree. I have a marketing degree from FAU. So I started coding from scratch. I actually started building HTML layouts in eBay. I started selling a few products and all that. And that was kind of like the beginning of my path to where I am right now. And I decided to take a step forward and get into a coding school. Coding school I went, it's called Ironhack in Miami. So I don't know, I'm pretty sure like most of you guys are developers, but if you want to get more skills and grow beyond being a game developer, if let's say you want to become a full stack developer, like a front-end developer, I would recommend you to check it out. It's called Ironhack. And one of the first things I did, one of my first projects was an actual Star Wars game, which is built exclusively plain JavaScript, doesn't use any framework. It's a simple trivia game. Do we have any Star Wars fans around here? Any hardcore fans? All right, I need 2 volunteers. 2 volunteers, guys. All right. Yeah, it's the game is very simple. It's just knowledge in general for Star Wars. All right. The rules are very simple. One of you guys is going to be the rebels. The other one is going to be the Empire. All right?
I guess so.
How do you guys feel like is your knowledge level in Star Wars? Like super high, decent?
say decent. I mean, I've seen the movies, but nothing else like.
Okay, not
Yeah, nothing like nothing like on a large level.
That's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about it.
All right, so I'm the Empire.
All right, I guess I'll be
so
the rebel.
go to start game. All right, so we're gonna choose moderate. We don't want to go expert level. So there are different levels. Expert and moderate is Empire. What is your name?
Darth Vader is good.
Darth Simon. Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna go with Luke Skywalker. It's like this guy gets to be basically a Jedi. I'm some guy with a gun. William. Yeah, Skywalker's the last one.
All right, all of this is built on.
Oh, okay.
So all of this is built in HTML and CSS. It's not an animation or a video. This was actually built in CSS. So all of the animations you're looking at right here, they're front end, so it's not a video.
What program are you using to make this?
CSS. There's no framework or anything like that. So it's just pure CSS, JavaScript, and HTML. Only front end.
So you could just make this on like Visual Studio or something like that, or you could just
You just need an editor, and I'm gonna show you the code after this. You see, may the force be with you, Admiral Billy Skywalker.
all right.
Yeah, we're gonna go into the different ways. He's starting out with pure JavaScript. Then I'll go into physics engine, and then Chris will go into a game engine, and then Ryan will wrap up about blockchain games. So we're going from most people go from easiest to hardest. We're starting from hardest to easiest.
So you have 13 seconds to answer this question. So what species is Jar Jar Binks?
He's a Gungan.
All right. There you go, and you get some points for answering correctly. So it's your turn now. Where do the separatist leaders die in the Clone Wars?
I'm gonna go with. Wait, no, Mustafar. I'm gonna say Mustafar.
There you go. Okay. On what planet does Java the Hutt live for the
Tatooine.
Empire? Tatooine. Who is Obi-Wan's master?
I'm gonna say Yoda. Yeah, it's gonna be Yoda.
What?
Qui-Gon Jinn. That guy dies in the first movie.
Who is this character?
Admiral Akbar.
Oh. Yeah.
All right, so for
Oh, that's Han Solo.
all right, so name of the planet where Luke Skywalker grew up.
Tatooine.
For the rebels, who is the general of the droid army?
Grievous.
Empire's turn.
Black.
This is our kind of like the last question. So who killed the Emperor for the Empire?
Vader.
So who is this character?
Boba Fett.
First intermediate?
The hardest one is really hard actually.
Yeah.
So this is actually how many Star Wars movies are there, not including animated pictures on unreleased films.
8.
All right. Yeah. So in this case, the Empire wins. There's an actual video that loads in the background. So like when the Empire wins, there's a planet that is destroyed. And if you want to try a harder level, and you can. But we're gonna get into kind of like the technical stuff of it. Thank you guys for participating here. was saying from the beginning, this was purely built in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The only library I'm using is kind of like a timer to, well, create the timer for the questions. I'm going to go through the project kind of like a file by file. The most important one is not the index itself, but I'm going to go over the JavaScript of the actual game. So for the questions, there's a specific file that contains all the questions. So we have hard questions, we have medium questions, and we have the easy questions. One of the hardest things as a kind of like amateur developer back when I started coding was to, I have this set of questions. I cannot ask the user the same amount of questions because they're gonna know, the right answer every time. So I needed to like randomize the questions based on a number of questions. So there's a lot of components into like building a game like this. There's, as you saw, there are like YouTube backgrounds, and the YouTube background is actually you can find this code online. I have it. It's actually on the repo from this project. You can actually find it in Praveen's in the meetup. You can use this code for any project that you have that you want to use any YouTube videos. So using YouTube's API to try to bring a specific idea of a video. So of course I was looking into bringing Star Wars videos, right? And not all videos from YouTube are publicly accessible through their API. So you need to try different videos in order for it to work. It needs to be a public video, and it needs to be a video that is this right here is basically saying the video ID of the YouTube video that I want to play in the background. Getting the video ID from a YouTube video is very simple. When you're looking for a video in YouTube, you can actually just look at the ID in the URL, and you can bring this into this code, and it will actually play the video that you want. But again, you need to be sure that it's not monetized or it doesn't have any kind of like copyright issues. The rest of this code is basically just the player of the video, and it basically autoplays in the background. I'm not gonna go through all of it, but what this code does, it autoplays the YouTube video in the background. Sure. Yep.
I think a lot of this stuff you guys already know. Magic the art.
All right, so this is the most important file. This is basically where all the code from the game is located. It's called the index.js. If you guys are ever going to look at this repo in GitHub, this is the file that you want to take a look at. This is where all the functions and everything from the game will be working. So this is specific function. I started with this because this was the hardest thing from the game, which is basically randomizing all the questions that you have for a specific level. And this function, what it does, it takes a variable and it randomizes it to show a different question every time that somebody else has played. The rest, right here, do you want me to get in like a technical, like stuff by stuff, or we can just do like? Sure. All right, and right here, this is also one of the most essential parts of building a game. You could have different users. In this case, you have either a rebel user or you could have an empire user. In this case, you're actually defining the rebel and the empire users. And when in the loading screen, when you're actually setting the names of both the Empire user and the Rebel user, those parameters are being sent on the URL of the actual game. So this game is not an actual app. It doesn't use a database. So like every time you play, you're not gonna be able to save your scores. So what I kind of like did to make it simple was just to pass the name of the users through the URL, and using regex, then you can get those variables to display it in the front end. This section right here controls all the sounds within the actual game. So there are different sounds, like when you start playing, when a user is correct in one of their questions, it plays an R2D2 sound, like the R2D2 sound. And when the user is wrong, it plays Chewbacca. So you need to have all these files separate. Definitely tell what the mark is. Yes, and actually there's a bunch of Star Wars audio libraries out there that you can use for this kind of things. So I used a library that had those specific sounds that I wanted, and that's why you see the actual file names with spaces and things like that. They have more than 200 sounds, and I used just a couple of them. Yeah.
Yeah, where'd you format the buttons for where they're going to be located on the screen?
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, that's not part of what JavaScript does. What JavaScript does, it basically controls the whole logic of the game. So it controls, the sounds. It controls how the questions change. It assigns the user a score. But to answer your question, that's basically done in HTML and CSS. I'm going to show you exactly where it's located. All right. So in this case, you guys play the medium one. For your specific case, this is where like all the front end, everything that you were looking at, the buttons, the images, it was all located here. So it's I was actually using Bootstrap for this, as you can see right here. And I was also using jQuery. But I'm going to show you where exactly the button is. So this is the modal. Right. So if you see right here where it says button,
Yeah.
so there are like 10 different types of buttons. You have the modal buttons for your tips. You have the submit button. So that's all done right here in this file. I actually used a different file for each different level. So you have an HTML file for the easy game. You have an HTML file for the medium game, and another one for the hardest one. But it's basically all controlled right here in this HTML file. And it's always using Bootstrap, which is a CSS library that is, it allows you to create code more easier, using CSS. So it actually uses columns, so you can basically create a more simple layout.
Do all the questions have only 4 answers with them?
Yes.
Okay, because I was wondering if there was another specific format where you did like, oh, if one has 3 answers, then here. If one has 4, then here.
So I try to maintain it as every question using 4 answers. And I don't know if you cannot see it, but every time that the game loads a question, the answers are randomized. And the reason why is because when I created the game, like the correct answer was always the third one.
Oh.
So like, users are always, it's always going to be this one if they kind of like figure it out. So that's kind of like one of the challenges that you will face when creating a game. that you might think is simple, and when you face something like that, then you need to randomize. But
So
it's always 4 questions. Yes.
So he's up to his limit of candy, so someone else has got to ask a question. Otherwise, last question, and we'll move on to the next presentation.
Okay, I'm curious to see the CSS that you had where the text was coming.
Sure. And I actually use a lot of code from other developers, and I want to give full credit to them. This game is available like online. You can actually play it. I'm gonna give you guys a link, and I put the credits on there for some of the CSS that I use for the introduction. So it starts right here. It uses a lot of WebKit animation and all this. This is really depends on your browser. But yeah, it uses keyframes. It's a really complex kind of like CSS because it uses a lot of different animations. It also kind of like uses a function from CSS that kind of like diagonalizes the text. So it runs like that.
So the best way to learn this is like, take this as a framework or as a template and add your own questions. Maybe change the scrolling speed, and then come to our meetup Friday, May 31st, and you could like show what you made, present to the game developer community. And we meet mostly in Davie. You can even ask Juan some questions then as well. So this is more like a taste, and then you can do more on your own, like most workshops.
There's 2 CSS files. There's a folder that is called CSS. This is the intro style CSS, which is based, yes. The part that you want to actually take a look at, the interesting part is it's actually commented out, and it's right here. So this is kind of like the 3D scrolling. That's how it eases the whole rotating thing, and you can see that right here. It transforms, and then it rotates based on our perspective.
Question about, I saw something about YouTube API on there. Was that for the video background, and why would you do the YouTube API instead of just embed a video or something?
So the reason why is because you cannot use kind of like an iframe on your background. Like you will have to download the video and just have the video like on your media assets, to say it that way. But the reason why I chose to do it through the API was because I wanted to challenge myself, because I just could download the video from YouTube and have it download as a background video. But I decided to kind of like look into solutions and how to put a YouTube background video without having to call an iframe and call it directly through the API.
Great. I think that's all the time we have right now, but we'll be around. Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Really great.
Thank you, guys.
Nobody can ask questions? Okay.
the format is, that so Juan started out. He did straight JavaScript, straight HTML5, and we wanted to respect the experience of the audience, right? So we assume that that's the experience you have coming into the room. Now we're going to layer on top of that. You probably this is something for you to learn with, but when you're actually making a production game, you probably wouldn't go straight JavaScript, straight HTML, because you're going to reinvent the wheel. It's fine for a trivia game, but when you start getting into physics, like we'll start doing Angry Birds, where you have having the stuff blowing up and everything and destroying things, you need a physics engine, and that stuff you're not going to rewrite by yourself. So we'll start getting into that as well. So really the goal here is for you guys to get a taste, right? You can tear apart the GitHub, make your own, whatever you want, and then come to our meetups. So we have a lot going on this summer. We're trying to turn you guys into game developers and make you super fun or more fun. So it's going to be we're pretty and everything we do is all as a community too. None of us, we're all volunteers, and but we basically have to keep the momentum going. So we're basically trying to recruit you guys to come work, make games with all of us. So this is Chris, and Chris is going to talk about his experience as a new game developer. Yeah, I'll start it off. Sorry.
There we go. Hello, my name's Christopher, or Chris. So like you said, starting off with JavaScript, I wasn't able to do it directly doing straight Notepad to the DOM inside of it. Kudos to you for being able to. I had to start a little slower. I went with some pre-made engines, like Phaser at the time, or anyone here, GameMaker? Phaser.js? Anyone here at GameMaker Studio? Okay. GameMaker Studio does not use JavaScript directly. It uses its own built-in language. I started out with that, but didn't like how you had to pay for every single new module that came out for it if you wanted to release to iOS and Android. But it was a great engine at the time. I was able to make some games in it. I was able to sell one of them. It worked out nicely. But I want to switch to a different engine. So I've been trying out Phaser and right now Panda. It allowed someone like me who's not able to do straight up JavaScript yet. I was a little slow learning it, but this had something pre-built I can mess around and play with on the inside. It was well documented. I was able to start slowly making little games, just moving stuff around on the screen. That helped out a lot. There are other game engines out there. Actually, it's not really an engine. These would be more like a framework, I guess. So Phaser is free. You just download it, you add it to your HTML5 page. You go from there, you bring up the documentation. You need a server for it, so you have to set that one up. Panda is free, the engine itself, but it has its own editor, which you do have to pay for. I like the editor. I was able to run whatever I was building directly on my phone without first uploading it to a website. I'm not 100% sure where to go from here, so anyone specifically question about one of the engines or the framework? I don't have anything uploaded right now. Back up everything that you do, okay? If something goes wrong, you're going to lose everything. That's kind of why I have nothing to show right now, except for, actually, hold on. I played them so much, I figured why not learn how to make them. Something I spent years playing Majora's Mask. Ocarina of Time, N64. I just figured, why not try to.
One has another announcement to make.
So, one of the best decisions I ever made in my life was to go to a coding school. As I was telling you guys, the coding school I chose is called Ironhack. I wasn't fortunate enough to get a scholarship there when I attended there, but Ironhack just actually partnered with Facebook, and they're offering up to $250,000 in scholarships for their UI UX cohorts and their front end development as well. Actually, it's not front end; it's full stack. So you'll actually learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Mongo, which is a database. So if you guys are interested, I'm gonna leave a couple of flyers in the table of the pizza. So if you guys are interested in applying, I think the deadline to apply is until May 10th, if I'm not mistaken. And if you want to get an extra skill set, you're more than welcome to apply, and I definitely recommend.
Yeah, Ironhack is the coding school down here that's most appropriate for game development. In fact, even for cryptocurrency, their co-founder and EOS Miami, we actually do a lot of open source projects together, including a new PeerD. It's basically a JavaScript version of Bitcoin Lightning Network. So they're very super involved on even an executive level, hands-on in the community. So that's the coding school I noticed that a lot of the developers who are actually making real-world projects are going to.
I actually did have one project that someone bought for me at the time.
So while it's loading up, so one of the things you see, he's got it takes some time to load up. One of the things is, with these graphic-heavy games, right, even 2D, you can be loading, 1,000 images, right? So certain things you do, we'll get into in my presentation, is you're going to be doing sprite sheets, and inside HTML5 in the canvas, you're only going to be doing a load image, but a portion of a larger, huge sprite sheets, because HTTP connections are very heavy. So obviously there's ways. So when you see our code, we purposely left in some bugs for you guys to fix as well, so you can speed it up as well.
All right. So this is one game I made in Panda. It's one of the frameworks for JavaScript, commonly used for game development. Phaser is the most popular out there so far.
Yes, the thing that he mentioned before about Phaser not being a game engine, that's totally correct. Phaser is something you can integrate into your regular JavaScript coding. It's basically a heavy-duty physics engine that does gravity for you, does destructibility of objects. If you go into Game Maker, Game Studio, then they have the drag and drop. But then if you do that, you might as well go to Unity, right? What's the point then? If you actually want to use JavaScript in your core development, you're going to be using a physics engine like what he's using rather than a full drag and drop game engine.
So this was done in Panda.js. The thing I liked about the framework, I could add the sprites and images that I want. I give them their own behavior. I tell them what to do, but I don't have to worry about all the back-end stuff. This one, it's just a little bunny, supposed to be an IT professional, trying to get the most important thing of all, coffee. Still need to flesh it out some. The computers are just people running at you with issues that they know only an IT professional can fix instead of spending 5 minutes on Google or just turning it off and on, which fixes pretty much a lot of things. This is what Panda let me do in about a weekend.
Can you show the page source on that? I just want to see what's included in.
So let me pull it up, the JavaScript file. JavaScript app search to make a game. I have no idea where I'm supposed to go for this.
Yeah.
So the reason why you're not able to see the full code of this right there is because this is kind of like a one-page application that dynamically builds the HTML based on the actions that the user takes. So that's the reason why you're not able to see all the HTML of it. That's kind of like one of the benefits of using a framework like he's using. Is it makes a lot easier to do things that are already built, but you know you don't have control on like the appearance of things and like the whole control on the source code. So yeah, that's the reason why you're not able to see the full code of it.
When you design this in Panda, the end result is it's gonna give you this game.js file, and it's going to give you. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the minified version of the Panda, so you're not going to really see much. You have to go to the documentation page. And so basically, it's not going to give you a game. It just gives you the physics behind like how
where's
gravity
it being
works.
hosted on right now? Pitoit. Is that your own website, your own URL? Okay, no problem. And it's okay, but
That's fine. You know, we have the other demos we actually have the GitHub for, so you can actually just download it and play with it. This demo, maybe he'll upload later. This one, it's fun. So someone else had a question? Oh, okay, that's great. All right, well he got your candy then. He asked it first. That's cool. So it's not you can't really look at a source, you know, from the console because it's all minified. You can look at his HTML and his scripts, right? So if you want to look at his scripts, but if you want to show that, Chris, like your scripts, you're trying to don't show the Panda source.
Using the editor, which I use the editor, so it's going to export everything into a minified JS.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess
you can pull it from Git and just add it to your own HTML5 file and go from there. And again, I like the editor. It lets me bring up whatever I'm doing directly on my phone. It automatically has debugging inside it.
You know, let's go into the Angry Birds. I think you'll be able to see that a little bit more because I actually have that already pulled up in my text editor. So yeah, thanks, Chris. Really appreciate it. It's awesome.
Working on it.
All right, guys. So this is we're gonna go into Angry Birds now. So if you go to the comment section of Boca, did you put in the comments, Damien? Yeah, if you go to the comment section, or if you're already part of the Game Developers Meetup, you can let's start by playing the game. You actually will pull up on your mobile phone browser as well. So everyone, let's all play this game together real quick. So if you do it on your mobile browser, you'll still be able to use the touch controls. You guys have it loaded up? We're gonna record your scores and put it on the meetup page. You got the highest score for the meetup. So one of the things you're going to notice is we purposely left some bugs in here for you guys to fix and find. And if you guys find them and you notice like one of the things that Damien and I got in the habit of at these workshops is we give you a plaque basically with saying you certificate of completion. So we did React VR Part 1, React VR Part 2, that Damien and I both signed it. So if you can make this game better, then we'll give you the certificate of completion. There's a lot of obvious problems with this game, but any little thing you can find, we'll give you that. But anyway, so that's the game. So how do we make that, right? So this is why we went third, so you give you understanding. The first step is HTML5 JavaScript, right? The second step is introduction to game engines. And the third step is you put it all together into something that's production ready, like Angry Birds. So the game engine we used here is called Box2D. And some of the presenters before said they have to be installed, right? So if you this is running off the Git page, and it's not working, right? If I try to run it off of my local server as well, so it's working here, but then if I run it off my local server so it's running off the direct file docs. But let me try to show you what happens if I run it from the local host, like the same way Git pages works. So I have Apache running right now. So this is, okay, I guess this worked there. So that's a bug. If one of you guys found that, you would have got a certificate right there. So basically trying to figure out why it doesn't work off the Git page, but works off the local servers. That's one of the comments we made is when you want to run this demo, you have to run it off the local server. So basically what I'll go into now is how Box2D works. So Box2D is the native physics engine that Angry Birds and a lot of older style physics-based 2D games are based off of. So originally it was a C++ open source physics engine, and a lot of people have ported over into things like JavaScript. So the JavaScript version is called Box2D Web. And if you look at the GitHub, the last check-in was like in 2015. So this is very easy to learn, but this is probably not something that you would use after the fact. To make a brand new game. But since we did choose Angry Birds as our demo application, it's very easy to find code about what the gravity of a certain type of bird should be type thing too. So it's kind of easy from a game designer point of view to recreate this game. And that actually brings us to an important point. So don't get caught up in just in the technical aspects. You see Juan went to school for marketing, and Chris is self-taught. What's really important is game design is an art, right? It's not just all a science, right? If you get caught up in what game engines to use, what scripting, what code, you're gonna miss the forest for the trees, right? The big thing is you want to make your game fun, right? That's why one of the big emphasis is on game design, right? How do you get people to see this as something they want to play every day, right? And that's and if you get a really fun game, I mean, it could be a full-time thing for you. Basically, if you think about it, right, a movie, someone's in a movie for 2 hours. A game, someone might be playing your game like 10 hours a week or more, right? You have a lot of eyeballs, a lot of potential ad revenue, a lot of things that can happen if you make a very engaging way and people to want to play every day. So that's where game design comes in. So with Angry Birds, there's a lot of game design in there. We won't go into all of that, but you can see what people are addicted to it, basically. Good.
What makes people want to play a game? I mean, what makes it
yeah, it's
fun?
basically, if you think about a lot of things about, it's not just game. You can learn about. Gaming is not just for fun, right? You can learn a lot about life and how to be want to say a better person, but you can learn a lot about life by playing games, right? If you look at a lot of like the very successful people, not just rich, but just very well-rounded people, they were like board gamers. A lot of CEOs play Monopoly, right? But not just as the money point of view, about how to deal with other people, how to not to cheat at a game, or how to strategically cheat, whichever way you want to go. They learned early on by their parents like teaching them how to play board games. So those type of things, it's like there's the the aspect of gamification, the laddering. You're basically earning rewards. And Ryan will get into that with blockchain gaming too, where you actually have things that you're doing in a game, they actually belong to you because they belong on blockchain. You can monetize them as well. So what makes a good game? Things like achievements, things like quests, things like, you basically feel like, there's a reason every time you play it, you're furthering your own psyche in a way. So, I mean, casinos do this a lot, but they do it in a very not just fun way. They're like, almost like trying to addict you to it. But we're trying to actually make things fun. So there's different ways to do it. You can do it like Darth or Skywalker. You use still game design. So so the box 2D. So we made this playground. I won't go into all this, but this is the demo, and we took basically the GitHub and we made the falling here. So basically, all these shapes are in the code. It's all in the GitHub. So basically, you can modify the gravity, you can modify the shapes, you can modify anything. And the thing to remember is, there's also other examples, because when we do this lecture, a lot of times we do it to people who aren't that familiar with JavaScript. They're like basically they're basically went to art school. So in the GitHub, there's a lot of code in here. So if you feel lost, like you want, that like you don't understand something, just go back to a previous exercise. So exercise 1, for example, shows you how to use sprites and how to rotate. So like I said, you can't make like 1,000 different HTTP calls every time you need an image. So the way you do is you load one giant, this is one image, and in the load image function in JavaScript or your game engine, you load only that one image, and then you use the different HTML, the different calls to rotate the image and resize it. So that's what gives you the animation. It's still one big image you're loading, just doing one call for, but you can rotate and animate it any way you want in JavaScript. So also this will teach you how to use sound as well in your games. So, all right, so let me go into the Angry Birds here. All right, so this is the Angry Birds source code. It's all available on GitHub. Feel free to try to find the bugs or make it better, and we'll give Damien and I will give you a certificate of completion. And and also, since this game is URL based, you feel free to put it on your LinkedIn, put your name on it, modify it. But one thing we ask is, modify it enough where we don't have 30 different games all exactly the same, right? You're not going to do anyone else a favor if a recruiter sees 30 Angry Birds games all look exactly alike after tonight. So make something different than put it on your LinkedIn. So you can see here, just like with what Chris and Juan were doing, you basically have your parameters, the objects of the game. So basically, inside Box 2D, it is a physics engine just like Phaser. Things can have friction, density, gravity, but also things can basically get destroyed. So basically, if you change, wood is harder to destroy than glass, right? So if I make this 1,000, then if a bird or a fruit in our case hits the glass, it won't break, right? Because it doesn't have density for the fruit. If I make the wood like 10, then even a strawberry would break the wood. So yeah, I don't know. It's probably something that I just copy and pasted. I was just focusing on the game aspects. But a lot of these things, it's like, it's a very old game engine. It's not really worth for you guys to figure out everything that's going on. If you're going to learn anything, learn like newer game engines. This is more for a learning experience. So obviously, easy way to figure out is change it, see what happens. So. Yeah. Yeah. What was it? Okay. Yeah. 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 So how about if I don't see you guys playing the game? How about someone come up here? We'll play the game. We'll go over the code for each portion of the game. Who wants to volunteer to play Angry Birds? All right, come on up. So basically, with not just JavaScript gaming, but Unity as well, there's a concept of like, yeah, there's sprites and all that stuff. There's also game loops, right? And you guys as JavaScript programmers are very familiar with loops. So there's like in JavaScript, there's animation loops. So we have that too, obviously, in JavaScript game. We have animation loops, but we also have the game logic loops too. You generally have one giant loop that runs the whole game, and then to end the game, you break out of the one giant loop. And each individual like logic state inside the game, there's different parameters. And as a parameter like breaks out, basically, for example, right, when the fruit or bird stops moving, you know that the game knows that you're done shooting, right? Remember in Angry Birds, things keep going. Once they stop, then you get your next bird, right? So you can see that changes the state of the game. So I'll show you all. Yeah, why don't you guys play? So all these little things they're all loop based, and that's not just specific to JavaScript games. Basically, everything is in real time, but all the game loops are controlling all this, and you go from one. It's like a state engine. You go from one state to another. So let's start with the. All right. So the first thing is, you notice that we didn't implement all this stuff. There's no settings. We just put this as a placeholder. So the first screen is the splash screen. That's the. There it is. Yeah. So basically basically it's even everything is just like everyone else is saying is it's basically a one page application. There's different div tags to bring up the different scenes. So in JavaScript it's div tags. In Unity it's different like just scenes they call it too. But it's one application, but you're just like preloading or offloading different scenes in Unity, but here it's just a div tag that the canvas is showing or not showing. So the entire game is in one game container, and then each individual screen is a div tag. So there's the score screen, the ending screen, the game start screen, and when you break out of all, then you basically end the game. All right. So the first thing, hit play. The first thing you notice is we don't have the sound started right away too, because especially if you guys are playing on mobile, like that's one way to really irritate your users is to drain their battery life. So if you have that sound going and if they have the the volume turned down, whatever it is, you don't want to autoplay sound, especially on mobile. So you see, there's no sound yet. So now, so there's two levels we designed. He can start at level 2, but start with level 1. We'll go to automatically level 2 if he wins. All right, he's brave. He's a veteran gamer. Yeah, one more try. All right. So you can see. So you can see immediately from a game design view, right? By us putting the strawberry last, the strawberry's not going to do anything for him too. That's either a failure in game design or something, because it's going to be purposely frustrating, right? There's no way that strawberry's going to do anything. Strawberry should be the first fruit. So so once you stay up, so basically one of the big things in the game as a game developer is game testing, right? So a lot of times, at our end of the last Friday of the month meetups, right? We're not just programming; we're testing each other's games and getting feedback because, everyone thinks their game is perfect, or maybe they don't. But either way, you never really know until someone actually plays it. So in this case, you saw if you played this 10 times or 20 times, it'd always be the same result. The strawberry would never do anything. It's just too light of a fruit, and you got at the end you have all the garbage, all the wood piled up. There's no way that strawberry would do anything, right? So that's like that would be a game design failure that you'd only figure out by playtesting. And obviously you don't have to do it via in person. Like a lot of our friends, we playtest games for them in California, wherever. They just email us the latest build, and we all playtest it as a community together. So what did you think? Any feedback of you have the microphone somewhere? Not sure. Oh, okay. Yeah. So basically, you just play tested this game, and so this is valuable feedback to the game designer. What's your feedback? I either turn it on, I guess. Yeah.
The strawberry was kind of worthless. Even when I played it on mine, it was acting every time. The others were fine. I don't know. Needs more levels.
Yeah.
Because you do 2 screens and you're done, and it's like once you figure out the pattern, it's.
All right, so based on his feedback, let's make this strawberry effective. So I showed you earlier how to change some of the parameters of the different game objects. Let's do that right now in real time. So how easy or how hard do you want to make this game? Super easy, all right. So let's find the strawberry parameter here. Yeah, could do that. So there's the glass, the wood. What was that? I don't think we called it strawberry though. So basically, current hero. When you guys are looking at the code, current hero is your fruit, and current villain is or add the pigs later, or in case we have hamburgers and stuff. So basically, the game ends. There's no more current villains left, but you still have a hero. I guess we're gonna have to cheat. All right, there it is. All right. So you can see, so the first thing you see is like something like glass has a health parameter, right? Which means that if something has a health parameter, that means it can be destroyed. The strawberry doesn't have a health parameter, so it can't be destroyed, but does have a density. So you can see like the density of the apple is 1.5. Yeah, it's probably not from here. Guess we'll figure it out. Right? Let's change this to 1 and see what happens. All right. So let me show you something that's not going to work first, so you can see something interesting. When things break, you learn a lot. So what if I run this just from the local host without having Apache running? Basically, it's stuck on the it's going to be stuck on this screen. It won't go any further. And can anyone figure out why that is? What was that? It's not. No, because even if it was preloaded, it wouldn't run. But so that's another opportunity for you guys to get a certificate from Damien and I, figure out why you need Apache running for this game, while the other examples I showed you, you could just run it just from the file as opposed to having the Apache actually running. All right, so in this case, we changed the density of the strawberry from 2.5 to 1, I think. Let's see what happens. So that did work, because before that strawberry would have just bounced off. So we figured that out. The density is inverse of making it stronger versus weaker. So that type of thing is like, it's definitely like, from our previous workshops, React. We're a big believer in like learning the minimum you can and to make something useful. Don't spend all your time like learning code or learning the intricacies of how stuff works. Find the project you're really passionate about, and then figure out the tools to use to make it work. And go from top down. Don't do what colleges do and make you do like 4 years of textbooks. You actually try to make something. Make something first and figure out how to make it later. And gaming is really good for that, because especially if you make a game that you yourself want to play, it will give you a lot of motivation to learn the code and the frameworks to make that. So any questions? Yeah. Yeah, these are.
Who was this?
I was just.
These are obviously.
I'm just curious where you got all the graphics from.
Yeah, these are just like off the web.
Just.
Yeah. It's like you see, there's we little bit changes. This isn't actually Coke. It's Cuke. This isn't Angry Birds. It's fruit. So like little things. I mean, Rob's not here, but like Rob Halestra and I always have this conversation about. I'm coming from also from a filmmaker world too, so I try to keep things like within, basically fair use. It's a big topic. It's like, I mean, if you're gonna avoid problems, you can. Don't make it easy on someone to just Coca-Cola IP guy just to search for something and saying you're infringing. It's like, why just call it Cuke or something. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Wait, hello? Okay, so you said all those images were
sprites.
Sprites?
Yeah.
Wait, do you have to make those on your own?
So basically, you get I mean, you basically use Photoshop to do sprites generally, and you can get sprite sheets, and then in your code, or you basically just do the image loading of the one particular sheet, one particular image at a time, right? So let me see. That's up here. Yeah, right here. So all these, this is just one bitmap, right? And then your image loading function will just load the X and Y coordinate of that one image. And then in your JavaScript also, you would rotate it different ways. So in fact, you're seeing it here like this, right? But this is really just one image that's being redisplayed multiple times. This is just our very first example, just to teach game developers JavaScript, you know, basically how to do sound and all that stuff. And also you see here these squares and stuff, these aren't images. We were teaching people how to use path following and how to do drawing in HTML5. So if you look at the code, you can see this is actually an HTML5 function to make this box, basically, and place it. So this might, and also showing people how to do fonts and manipulate this. So this isn't just like, this is the end result of a lot of like backend. JavaScript drew all this basically. It's not something that was just like placed here.
Oh, okay.
This is the very first example. So yeah.
All right. Hello. Hello.
Yeah. But so that's a really good point though, because you know you want to be able to like reuse your skills, right? So if you don't know how to do sprites now, I wouldn't recommend it, right? You know, you can't learn everything, right? Focus on what you're strong at, and then find free versions of everything else. So when we did React VR, for example, or 2, you know, we didn't teach people how to make their own like 3D objects. We went to TurboSquid or 3D models and downloaded the free versions, and then put that into the React. We focused on the React VR. In this case, I would focus on, if you're going to focus on anything, focus on the game design. You know, don't focus on, like, don't get lost in everything we're showing you. You know, we
So
can
you
figure
don't make
out,
it too
like,
flashy?
what? Yeah, don't, yeah, the bright lights, you know, you're not going to impress anyone by having really complex code. You're going to impress people making a fun game. So.
All right. All right. Oh, sure. I had one more question.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, like, so the next steps would be here. I mean, you can figure out whichever you want from our source code, and you can use it if you want to. But the thing is, like, you know, just focus on what you're good at, and then everything else, find free versions or game engines that will do it for you, and just make your first game. And the thing is, but you do want to do some hands-on, right? There are things like drag and drop. You're not going to learn anything, right? So you know, do some coding as well. So don't forget you're also a programmer. But you know, there are you know, the industry is moving away from, everything used to be all low code, right? You know, everyone wanted to be very simple, but now people are figuring out that having one monolithic Unity app or Unreal Engine app or whatever it is, right, doesn't work. You actually have to have some native code in addition to what your physics engine or game engine brings to the table. So things that like Unity people are trying to do to make things like UI and stuff in Unity, you just have so much effort to do that, but there's so many other better tools for UI. So especially as JavaScript programmers, you know that too. So you can use like a physics engine and plug it into your existing JavaScript skill sets. But don't, just because it's new, don't assume things that you don't know is a black box of magic. It's not, right? Basically focus on what you already know as your keystone, your keystone, and then build around that. And if you don't, yeah, good.
I recommend using these for any production games, but for testing, game design, this is a great resource to use. This guy, he makes all the assets for free. I'd recommend checking it out, kenny.nl. He gives you basic assets for different kind of games. So let's go 2D. If you're making, let's go with a platformer. These are different blocks that you could use. You create your platform. platform. You got your little here, different collectibles, gems. From down here, you download the sprite sheet. After that, you can add them to your game, change it around, do whatever you need to. They're just good for general testing. Again, completely free. Second one is this one's a little different. People add these to the website, but each of them has their own rules. Generally, they're under free use, but you may have to just give, like, you got this asset from this person, attributing it to the different artists. So good, 2 sites, good for testing if you're just focused on game design for the time being.
Okay, so thanks guys. I'll introduce the last speaker now. This is Ryan Poole. He's going to talk about blockchain and blockchain games.
Yep, is that on? Okay, cool. No, let's hold this. Yeah, I was going to pull up our website too, maybe. Realtrade.io. Hey, hello all. This has been great. Thank you very much. This is my first coding experience, even though I'm working on a technology platform called Realtrade. Actually, my experience is in real estate. I have over 20 years experience in real estate, and started at the very bottom, selling timeshares, worked for developers, worked in a secondary mortgage market for about the last 10 years, but 2.5 years ago I discovered blockchain technology. Let me tell you something, it's something really exciting to me. Kind of went down the rabbit hole, as they say. How many here have studied blockchain technology or cryptocurrencies? Show of hand. Yeah, a little bit. So it's a pretty exciting technology. I mean, this is how I met Prav. Obviously, he worked, he has US Miami, and it's a real exciting platform, EOS. It's basically like almost like a distributed operating system, and it's an exciting way for to do a lot of different things. And this is what we're doing with Realtrade. So Realtrade's a real estate platform using blockchain technology that we're looking to change the way the world buys and sells real estate. It's pretty exciting. So here, let me go through it, and I can kind of go a little bit through the pitch deck so they can see it. So let me see if I can pull this up. There we go. Awesome. So this is what it is. It's a revolutionary real estate platform leveraging blockchain technology that looks to disrupt Zillow and the MLS. Does anybody have any experience in real estate here in the things? So, okay, great. So we know a little bit of pain points in real estate. The way we currently sell real estate now is we join these various MLS boards. There's actually over 900 in the United States. And if you can imagine, the big thing right now is data and the way that people are consuming data. And you have to spend thousands of dollars to join these MLS boards for the right to put your data on these systems, which is your listings for properties for sale, okay? And then they take that data, and then they allow other agents to see it. But the big thing is they're selling that data to the big companies out of Silicon Valley, like Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. And then how are they monetizing it? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm more on, I guess, the tip side. One of our meetups we did at FIU for FBA, showed how you can buy it. It actually isn't a real guy.
Wow.
No reflection here. All that.
Wow. blockchain gaming is going to be really big, especially when you can have one of a kind digital assets that you can win. That's a pretty big one. Sure.
When I worked with Wizards of the Coast, we were the first to bring Pokemon. So basically yield
Just a little bit more.
We were having an in-store event. We were expecting a few kids to show up, but in actuality, like half the mall filled up with kids. This is when we knew this was a paradigm shift. And I feel like blockchain is going to be the same. Blockchain gamification is gaming forever. The first time ever you actually own all the game assets that you buy. So that means that if you want to play another game, you can. If you want to sell them, you can. With traditional games, what I am capable of doing in my own experiment with blockchain technology, we can take that same game and allow users to do things with their items that they've never been able to do before, which allows game creators and gamers this brand new space that they've never existed before. Imagine you had a Pokemon card, but as you played, the stats actually got better, and no one else in the world had one too. As an art director, designing assets that are unique to each player is very exciting. Peter James Douglas and I also work at the Studio. We're working on games for Marvel, DC, Disney. Several of us work at the top when we mentioned studios coming to making board games and video games. I was working as a producer on Halo at 343, and I got a call from Douglas. And we had worked together in the past on Disney and other projects, and I thought for sure he was going to ask me for his thoughts. But instead, just, talk to me about blockchain and about blockchain games. Blockchain games used to have this big connotation where they were slow and it would really feel like games. When we first started working on blockchain, we were working with Ethereum, and it was so slow. And every transaction cost money. There were blockchain games that were much slower, and they'd pay every time you transaction. And that just made it not much fun. All you could do was wind up users looking at with the new BocaJS blockchain. You can really game. You can take action every half second. You can really make decisions, and it's much more engaged and fun. We want Dragon Fleet to be the first mass market style mobile on blockchain. Really?
It's exciting.